ladies and gentlemen, the SSL Challenge. What a series we just witnessed. Strong games from both players, but in the end, Sue able to overcome Jockji. That's going to take us into our second series of the night.
Yeah, Hush versus Rogue. Another one of these series that I think should be pretty one-sided. Rogue, though, is pretty inconsistent. He was looking good in GSL, as you were saying before. He was able to beat Gumio, get out first in his group. But maybe this is the time where he comes in at 10 o'clock, or now it's actually 11 o'clock. Yeah. And he's like, oh, I'm tired. Let's just go in and lose to Hush.
We actually used to see that a lot last season with TY.
Yeah.
His games were almost always the last game of the night, and he made it to Stage 2. But unfortunately, he didn't decide to qualify for this season, so we just don't have TY anymore. He's gone but a memory. Instead, we have Hush. And Hush is the only player in SSL to have a lower overall win rate than Jockji. I think you were telling me it was something like 12%?
Yeah, it's 12%. Like, I almost have that many fingers.
That is not very high.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I can count almost up to that percent. I have to use like one for each of my feet. But
yeah, 10 fingers, 2 feet. There you go. 12.
That's how it works. Yeah,
that's the win percentage right now.
That's not a lot. So, whoa. Suffice it to say that Hush will be the underdog for the purposes of tonight's games. However, I have not seen Hush play in a while. I've seen him play in, I was going to say an online tournament once, but I can't even remember what that was.
Was it Lei Feng Cup?
It might have been. It might have been. I don't know how to say that one either. So
it's Lei Feng.
Lei Feng?
Yeah,
Lei Feng.
E is actually, if it's ENG, it's Ung. Yeah, bringing out my Chinese skills,
I don't know these things. Yeah, Brendan actually knows quite a bit about how to at least pronounce things correctly.
I used to know a little bit more. I stopped studying, but I do know the pronunciation. That's when the owner is going to like contact me. He's like, it's not Lei Feng.
No, it's actually Lei Feng. No.
Lei Feng. Yeah.
Anyway, so gave that guy enough free airtime to advertise his stuff. Anyway, suffice it to say, I'm actually really looking forward to seeing which Rogue comes out here tonight. Is it the versus Beyond Rogue from yesterday, or not yesterday, but last week, or is it the GSL Rogue that just goes through and kills everyone? So,
is it the level 1 Rogue with the the wooden dagger that's like trying to kill the small wolf in the forest, or is it the full geared out guy that's like level 100? I think it goes up to 100, right?
I don't know. I never played
110.
I never played WoW. I don't know what our level. What's the level?
I don't know. I don't know the top level.
Someone
right now.
out there knows the level cap to WoW and can tweet that at Rapid Casting or at Brendan Valdez.
I'll check it when I get home because I don't have my phone. But that's fine. Definitely go ahead and do that.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about our players here. Hush. Not quite the savior of the universe, but he could very well be. Maybe he's going to get the SSL Challenge buff. I don't know if that exists, but it might be a thing. H to the Hushki.
Whoa.
There we go. That's how you guys can remember him.
He's got an energy band on his wrist, so you know that he's going to be high energy tonight.
Woo!
And that ref in the left corner looks like he is not happy right now. Wish he was working for Premier, perhaps. But this is Rogue. He did go 0-2 up against Beyond, but looking to have a better shot this time against an easier opponent. He doesn't get a ref. He's just alone.
He just has no ref. We're like, no, we trust you, Rogue. No, there is a ref either in there or right off screen, so no worries about that. But yeah, I guess the last time that I guess most people probably would have seen Hush was IEM qualifiers, where unfortunately he lost to Gamja, and then Billowy, the Terror.
Whoa. Okay, well, here is our map pool. Ascension to Ire, Odyssey, and Newkirk Precinct. You were saying how we were going to see a couple of these maps, the new maps, and also
Odyssey
Newkirk.
and Ascension almost every time. The Newkirk pick in there, a little bit surprising. I don't know why he didn't pick Abyssal Reef.
Yeah, no Abyssal Reef, no super late game passiveness. Although Jockji did make it pretty interesting on that map when he played, so that was cool to watch.
It was.
But what are you expecting from Hush? I mean,
so I don't really know what to expect.
Yeah.
if I remember correctly, and it was IEM qualifiers or not Lifeng Cup, I remember seeing him go for, was it Proxy... I forget what I think it was Proxy Stargate, one of his games. I don't know. I really don't remember very much about that. So he's a little bit of an unknown commodity, at least for me here. And because this is the first time we're getting a chance to see him play an SSL challenge, I don't know. I always like to give players the opportunity to sort of define themselves. I feel like you see players like Joxy coming in when he had a little bit of a rough season, the first season of SSL Challenge. That's sort of like baggage that you carry with you as long as you stay in the tournament. Well, Hush gets to come in here and get a fresh slate. Rogue does not. He did have that unfortunate loss against Beyond last week. So he is going to try to, maybe build himself back out of that hole. Whereas Hush, we get the chance to see what he is going to bring here in this PVZ.
I'm expecting at least one proxy. If he doesn't proxy, I will be a little bit disappointed. And Rogue also no stranger to doing pretty crazy stuff. So jumping onto map 1, Ascension to Ire. Up at the top left, Fly Better Fly Jin Air, by the way. Up at the top left, the Protoss player. It is Hush, just like the sound of our studio because we don't have a live audience for a challenge.
Nope, our audience is 100% dead tonight. This guy is a purple Zerg player. His name is Rogue. He is playing for the Jin Air Green Wings, so he doesn't have to wear one of the SSL jerseys because he already has the Jin Air logo on his shirt. And there it is. It's not a proxy, but it is just going to be that gateway opening.
Yeah. When are we going to have the Forge openings again?
Man, I missed those. It got to a point pretty quickly where Protoss players figured out how to Forge Fast Expand after it actually took quite a while in Brood War for that strategy to be developed. It was initially kind of thought to be a little bit of a cheesy strategy because you weren't supposed to be able to hold it. But then Protoss players got really good with their timings, knew exactly how to pull 2 or 3 probes to hold the gaps in their wall, and figured out how to hold that early economic advantage. And so you just started seeing Protoss players just do Nexus openings over and over and over again. But nowadays you probably mostly see just that gateway expand. Lots of Protoss players just swear by it in a lot of situations. So this is not even going to be double gateway pressure. It's just the most standard-est of Protoss builds.
Yeah, so not much going on. It's been getting really humid and rainy in Korea. Actually, typhoon season, monsoon season is coming, and that means it is going to be pouring rain like buckets out of the sky. But also, it's going to be super windy and very humid. So, how are you dealing with it so far, Rapid?
Well, there's a reason the song is not "I Miss You" like the Gangnams miss the rain, because they don't. It's everywhere. It's all the time. That would be like if we hung out every day. I'm not really dealing with it. I'm a pretty bad Korean. I don't bring my umbrella with me everywhere for either the sun or the rain. But I should probably bring flippers because it is wetter outside than underwater.
Flippers?
I gotta swim through it somehow, man.
You gotta swim?
When they say you could cut through the air with a knife, I'm just like, well yeah, but why?
You could just use your bucket and get some really fresh water.
I mean, I could also just...
I think that's a better option.
Why don't I just buy bottled water, man?
Because it's free water. You gotta get that free water.
Well, yes, I have free water in the tap at my house.
Yeah, but this is clean water in the air.
I don't know, man. I came from rural Texas. This water is as clean as it gets to me. Oh boy. All right. So we get a chance to see openers for both players. This is pretty much the same build that we saw Sue go for, and obviously, there's a different matchup. But the idea is hatch then pool, and third base to come up not too long after that. So with the Warp Prism done and Zealot legs on the way, this actually could be a pretty cool situation to have. Now, I don't know if this is the Sentry variety, where you put sentries in the Warp Prism and try to split off the natural from the main and go for a big Zealot warp in, but it certainly could be. Is this 4-gate? I think it is.
Yeah, it's 4-gate, and Rogue is going to see everything. So, of course, he doesn't know exactly what the upgrade is there, but I think he did see A lot of these gateways coming up.
Okay, so Rogue's Overlord went into the main, and he did see almost everything, but he's not going to see these extra 3 gates until now. That caster curse, nice.
So 7-gate Zealot charge all in.
Yep.
And the answer is going to be Banelings and Rouges. Because we saw that Banelings actually sometimes can have trouble if you have enough Zealots and you're hitting that nice timing, that classic hit in Premier. But this is going to be pretty interesting to see if Hush, or rather Rogue, can stop it after seeing exactly what it is.
Now, the timing on this drop is very crucial because a bunch of these gateways are just finishing up and morphing into warp gates. If you allow Hush to warp in all of his units across the map, then he can't warp in anything at home, and these 8 Zerglings just get a chance to run around and kill everything. And oh, he doesn't warp in at home. There's only 1 Stalker back in his base to defend, and a Zealot.
1 Zealot and a lot of probes, so he's just going to be annoying here. Nice pull. Another Zealot is going to be pulled back from the wall and just threatened there. And here we go. I think that's about 10 Zealots, but already Rogue with the answer, as he has seen this very, very soon. He's taking it very seriously, too. He's only on 37 drones on 3 bases.
Wow, a Spine Crawler, 12 Zerglings. He is really ready to prepare for this. Oh, no. Oh, wow, that was a little bit closer than I wanted it to be. Okay, wow, but the big Zergling pressure, Baneling pressure up at the front, on top of the Zealot. It's actually the Zealot pressure. The Banelings are the ones unpressuring the pressure.
Just walking up to the left, like, where
what am I watching
where
here, Valdez?
Where are you going?
What is the destination?
And another big warping in the main. Again, you can't only fight this with the Lings. He's making his first Roach.
Well, no, there's 3 out on the map right now.
Okay.
At the natural. But yeah, these Banelings just gonna run into. What? All right, guys, this is what happens when you scout the 7-gate Zealot charge all in. You just kind of make some Banelings and kill it all. Look at the production tab right now, Valdez.
I mean, yeah, and Hush, he's got like, okay, there you go. He's gonna use all those minerals for a big warp in, but like, he's on 21 probes right now. Like, he can barely even afford this. This is the last warp in, and there's way too much stuff here. GG, Rogue with the easy walkover in game number 1.
Wow. Okay, great scouting there by Rogue. I feel like that was the real MVP of that game.
Overlord
game
speed.
1. Yeah,
it's a pretty good upgrade. I would recommend to a lot of Zerg players. Get it.
MVP Overlords. You got Overlord speed. You got Overlord drop. You're just doing everything, man.
Yep. Overlords were the key. They were the cure to the Zerg disease.
That's another Protoss player we don't have quite yet. Cure. We'll get a chance to see him.
Protoss.
Maybe somewhere in there. Yeah, there he is.
Cure. Cure's a Terran player. Remember, he used to play. He was like
right.
Little Maru. He was like.
I was getting caught up on Hush here, and I was just like, no, they're all Protoss players.
There are a lot of Protoss players. It was funny because 3 Protoss players dropped from Premier, and then 3 came up from Classic. So
we got a lot of Protoss players, and we also have a lot of Zerg players. Remember last season, I think it was just Losira.
Yeah.
It was only Losira, and then he didn't make it on to stage 2, and we're like, oh, I guess we only have Terrans and Protoss.
We had 3 Protosses and 3 Terrans. It was PvT like every day. Or PvP.
I mean, they were great players though, so it didn't make it boring or anything. It was just like, well, it's good to have some Zerg players in here. So Rogue did take game number 1. He knew exactly how to handle what was coming his way. That's the power of scouting, guys. If you guys are like I was when I first started playing Brood War way back in the day, I was like, well, your workers just mine so much. Why don't I just not scout and only mine, then I'll have an advantage. And I took that to StarCraft 2. It really doesn't work there because you can have all kinds of wacky stuff coming your way. So you should do that scouting thing and even maybe mix in some Overlord speed.
Reminds me of
builds.
Parting, a guy who didn't really like to scout much at all. He was just like, yeah, I need that extra pro mining. I'm gonna get an extra 100 minerals and I'm gonna beat him with it. But actually, he wouldn't see stuff coming like other Protoss players making DTs or random builds like proxies. He would just get killed by stuff like that. So it hurts to be stubborn sometimes, for sure. Are you stubborn guy, Rapid?
Well, once I get to a point in my build, I'm just like, all right. So the play right here is to make Mutalisks or Marines. I'm just like, all right, I know what button to hit. I raise my finger up like that. I'm like, I just jam down that button, and if at some point I don't win the game after that point, you know, it's just a little bit too bad. We got to go on to the next game. So every once in a while I see a player like that. Ooh, these headsets, like, I don't know, somebody came in here and just like moved them around. They do not feel very good.
Ghost is messing with you right now.
I don't know. I walked in here, the microphone was bent, was like on the other side. Wait a second, this doesn't feel right. All right, well, I have that situated. We're about to get ready to get into our second game of the night. When what a night it has been. I've seen a lot of StarCraft today, Brendan. It's all starting to run together, and half of that was Brood War, so it's really getting a little bit confusing. Rogue versus Hush game number 2 in round 2 of Match 2.
Set to Map 2.
2 players.
Only one will go home. The other has to stay the night. Up in the top left, the Protoss player had a nice timing for the first game, but it did not work, as Rogue saw everything. It is Hush. And his opponent down on the bottom right, the purple Zerg, it is Rogue.
Okay. Surprisingly enough, Valdez, these are the same 2 players that we saw in our last game.
Yeah, it's funny the way that works.
I just, you know, every time it happens, I'm a little bit surprised. Sometimes I expect there to be a third game. The third game has different players, and I realize it's not a third game, but the first game of a different set. Whoa. It's complicated, Brendan, but you know what? I'm up for the challenge.
That's why we got you here.
Among
up for
other
the challenge, the SSL challenge.
The SSL challenge, yeah, that is the true challenge.
Yeah.
All right, so it is still going to be that gateway opener. We don't see a Nexus behind it just yet. Should be coming up here in the near future. Every time I see this opener, you know, you always know what it looks like, and then they just never throw down a Nexus. It's about to come down right now. But there used to be a build, I remember, I think MC was the first guy to do that, where you look like you're expanding, then you really look like you're expanding, then you really, really look like you're expanding, you cancel it at the last second, either with your natural or your third base, and then you just all in them.
When one base builds used to be viable.
I remember that was, oh my god, that was so
4
popular.
gate versus 4 gate every game in PvP.
You'd get scouted, then you'd cancel your base and all in. Back in the day. Those were truly the days. But nowadays we don't really see that. We're going to see probably the same exact kind of opener from Hush. I doubt he's going to pull the trigger on the Zealot charge all in. It was cool to watch Rogue defend that, just because it worked so well and just shut Hush down so badly. So hopefully we do see a different strat this time around. Zergling speed just started by Rogue with a couple of annoying initial lings on the way, going to chase out Hush's probe.
Okay, Stargate this time around.
All right.
With the Adept to begin. So it is going to be a bit of a different build here. We're seeing Rogue get close to another 100 gas. We'll see if he does go for that Overlord speed. I think it's a good idea when you're going up against a player specifically that can get a bit tricky, but also you feel like you're better than him. You don't want to get caught out by anything. You want to make sure you get the scouting information, and there it is.
Yeah, right away that Overlord speed coming through, and you know, you gotta love the thought process there. You get such an advantage off of having that in game number 1. It's like, all right, let's just get it again. Go for that early scouting information and see exactly what is coming his way.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be a more standard game here from Hush. No big timing, just getting that Oracle out.
To some degree, that kind of takes a little bit of guts to say, all right, well, I tried a little bit of a cheesy opener. It didn't work out. Now let's go into the standard game. I feel like a lot of players try to play their standard game work and then figure out if they need to resort back to that. But here go the Speed Overlords, and we'll see what they can see. All that's not really going to be much. They'll notice the Stargate over here, just now getting scouted out.
Where does all that Overlord gas go? You see how they're like emitting gas? Where does it go?
The atmosphere.
Isn't that like bad for global warming? What is that gas made of?
Well, so my guess is that because we're on these space planets, so the only things that have
space planets, as opposed to like
non-space planets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is a non-space planet, Rapid?
So there were actually there's this theory. I forget what it's called. Somebody else can tell me about that. There's a theory that the Earth is convex, and that inside the Earth is the sun, and that while we consider right angles, that's not actually the way that reality is. The angles themselves are bent and curved like the shape of the universe, so that when you look up and see the sun, you're actually looking into the center of the Earth, and all light is bent around it and makes the Earth appear round, when in fact we're on the inside of a sphere, not the outside.
I think you just got a little bit too deep for me there.
Hey man, I'm just trying to explain something simpler than StarCraft.
That is a pretty interesting theory, though.
Okay, well, we're about to see Hush try an interesting theory about building lots of gateways, building lots of units with them, and then walking across the map to kill his opponent. It didn't work too well in game number 1 because it was scouted. So now we get a chance to see if Rogue is going to be quite as vigilant about keeping an eye on what's coming his way.
Yeah. This is like when you see a spider in your house and you just take a shoe and squash it right away.
But you don't realize it has babies in the walls?
Oh, that's really scary. Don't want to think about that.
Went a little bit too far there.
As opposed to, you know, macroing that Zerg out of your house. So.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah. Okay, that's obvious.
He's trying to get a warp in here in the main, but 5 of his gateways are unpowered. The other 3 are almost unpowered. But still, I mean, Banelings without speed, off creep, not going to be doing too well. Did get a nice hit there at the end, and just cancel the warp in.
Yeah, nice spread on those Adepts to preventing those Banelings from really being all that effective. One more will come up and get a splash damage onto 2 of those Adepts, but the splitting on the Adepts is just too good. And if you look at the army supply, it is 18-35.
Needs those Banelings. Hush is grouping up here. He cancels that Shade.
I mean, a couple of Spine Crawlers here, but this Oracle is just going to do such a number. 11 drones going down, and at this point, I mean, it's actually Hush that has the worker advantage.
I mean, it was a really nice hit with the Banelings, but still, another warp in comes in, and 14 drones have gone down here.
Some good Baneling connections, but just look at that splitting. Oh my god, Hush. He's like a beautiful gymnast. He goes up on the high beam, then tumbles down to the ground into a perfect split. Something that initially would be very painful. Unfortunately, now he's making Rogue feel the pain. His tremendous flexibility.
Rogue is not giving up yet. He's sticking in this one.
I mean, he's building 2 more Spine Crawlers. He's just going to have an immense amount of spines. You know, we haven't gotten a chance to see Hush's base. I think he was able to clear up all of the Zerglings that were there.
Yeah, it looks like it.
And I believe he's repowered the rest of his gateways as well. So that means
Rogue refuses to get Protoss here.
Sick GG timing, man.
He's like, no, I'm just not going to leave. If you're going to do this build to me, I'm just going to stick in this game forever. Baneling speed coming through. A lot of those depths are grouped up.
Okay, that's not the worst hits I've ever seen. Unfortunately, there's just nothing left over here for Rogue. He's now sitting at 13 army supply, and he has a critical mass of Adepts that can kill spines before they burrow.
I think that's going to break the Camel's back here, that final straw.
Camel, that is Rogue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe it was that shoe that he used to squash the bug. He did come in here and shade into a bunch of Spine Crawlers. Not the best area to go into.
I mean, he's going to be able to kill the Spine Crawlers, and because he repowered his gateways back at home, he's going to be able to take...
He's remaking a Baneling nest. He's not done with this game yet, guys.
I'm pretty sure he's pretty done, Valdez. You know, I don't know. This is where you have to, you know, hedge your caster bets and say, well, I could be wrong, but, well, the but right now is Rogue's inevitable survivability.
He is the butt of this joke, for sure. And, yeah, he's going to scout a third Nexus is up, and he is not going to leave.
I mean, I think he might be a little bit incredulous at this point at what Hush is able to do. Rogue actually even scouted the gateways and unpowered quite a few of them. He just didn't get the Baneling connections back at home that he needed. Great splitting by Hush. I mean, he knows how to do this all in and knows what to watch out for, and that was Banelings. They'll be a taken out natural and a GG. Hush takes game number 2.
See, Rogue was really frustrated after that loss. Just talking to himself a bit in the booth. I hope he doesn't get too tilted. I mean, after that
literally tilting his chair. It's like way over here tilted. That's maybe way over here tilted.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think it was that direction.
I don't know. I hope Rogue has, like, you know, the Weeble endurance. Did you ever have those toys as a kid?
Weeble? No.
Yeah. You ever have Weebles?
I don't know what a Weeble is. What
Weebles
is
wobble, but they don't fall down. So you can tilt as much as you want, but you always come back. There are these little, like bowling pin shaped toys or whatever, and you can play with them.
I think I had that. I didn't know it was called a Weeble.
Yeah. So they wobble side to side. You know, like the big blow up clowns that you punch and shit. That's stuff like that. So that's the idea.
I think I had one of those. I don't think it was called a Weeble though.
I don't know. I'm sure they have many different
Maybe
names.
you had the off-brand.
No, I'm pretty sure
Texas
that's
brand.
the name brand. Pretty sure you had the off-brand.
Maybe I did.
Well, anyway, that's the kind of endurance that Rogue is going to need to bounce back from a game like that. You know, it's one thing to not scout an all-in or a Dark Templar proxy or something like that, and then you die and you're like, oh, you. But it's another thing to see it coming and then just get, you know, shoved in the face with Adepts or Zealots or anything early like that. So Rogue, the recipient of quite the boppening in game number 2.
I mean, he got the scout, but I think it was just a little bit too late. He just made a nice round of drones and could not make enough stuff to hold off the big attack. So here we go into game 3, our second game 3 of the night. This one will be on Newkirk Precinct.
Fly better flying on to Newkirk Precinct. Our yellow Protoss player, he is. Have you ever heard that song?
Is that a song? No.
Savior of the Universe. It's pretty good.
Is it about Hush?
Oh, well, it could very well be. If he wins this series, he very well might be the savior of the universe. I think it's actually Flash, but it could be Hush. This is Rogue, our purple Zerg player, and that probe is going somewhere.
Looks like the same build as games 1 and 2, at least to start here.
I always get my hopes up, Valdez, that this is for like a sick proxy, but inevitably it's probably just also to scout. But I can dream. He does have 100 minerals. At any point, he could put down a pylon that could be used for things like cannon rushes.
Yeah.
We don't have a forge.
I was gonna let
we don't
you
have a forge yet.
decide.
Instead, we have a gateway, so that's probably not what we're gonna see. This could be the good old late cannon rush after you build a gateway.
I like the one where you build all of your gateways that are going to be part of your all-in outside your base. I think Creator did that one time on like a really big map. He didn't proxy the gateways. He just put it all the way in the bottom right corner, and he put like 5 extra gateways. And so the player just, I think it was a Zerg, might have been a Terran. Actually, I think it was a Terran.
No, I remember
they scouted the main, but they didn't know that there were that many gateways.
Yeah, where's your stuff? I don't know. Yeah, I believe the Protoss player has. If you guys don't know about Haz, he's this Taiwanese guy, and he is the cheesiest.
If you don't know about Haz, like
expletive you have ever seen. And one of the things he does is he builds his base outside his base. So even when you scout things across the base, it's not like they're proxied. They're just out there. So you never know how many random pockets of stuff he has out on the map. It's pretty. It's a sight to behold. If I can get those words out of my mouth. I don't think we'll see anything too, kooky, crazy like that from Hush, who once again spawns on the side of the map opposite his username in the overlay, which will make things a little bit more challenging.
That's okay. At least they're not the same race.
Yeah, we've got pretty separate colors too. So
yeah. Stargate opening for Hush here. He is going to try to go for the Oracles once again. Go with what won you the game. I mean, the Oracles didn't necessarily win him the game, but this was how he started. We are going to have Overlord speed again for Rogue.
Now, one thing you can do with a Stargate opening is instead of using to put on aggressive pressure, you get like a Phoenix first and then push out the Overlords and then go for an all-in behind that. Now, that's probably a rarity, and Hush is not going to go for that, certainly. Oracle, pretty good for scouting as well. And if you catch your Zerg opponent off guard, we've been seeing a lot more Zergs just go for one Spy Crawler in the natural and skimp on them in the main. Maybe find an opening.
Spore Crawler. Definitely going to be needed here to deal with those Oracles. And the big scout coming in, I mean, he sees this. He will have enough time. He's going to add another Queen for now, but there comes the first Spore.
Yeah, Overlord speed finishing a few seconds ago. That'll allow consistently good scouting from Rogue. Even though he lost game number 2, he still scouted exactly what was coming his way. He just couldn't deal with the glaive all in. So, going to look like a longer game, at least in Hush's viewpoint. Third base on the way. And the first few drones starting to fall.
Spore is ready, but it's on the left side, so already getting 4 kills, 2 drones in between the patches. Gonna follow up with 1 Phoenix. So far, everything looking the same as game number 2, but this time we do have this Nexus coming down. Actually, as did happen in game 2. No addition of the gateways just yet, and he's going to be hitting those 39 drones right now, but he does add a couple more gases and continues with this probe production with Chrono Boost, so I think we're just going to be seeing that longer game we were talking about, Rapid. Yeah,
it's always great to scout Zerg players around their hatcheries, because when you see the larva spawn, you know exactly what they're building. Same thing for Protoss players. If you look at what they're Chrono boosting, that's what you can expect. Oh my god, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 drones in that stasis caught, as well as a Queen. So really, really good stasis ward there for Hush. Block a lot of that mining time.
Yeah, that's really fantastic. Not trying to do any damage per se. Just getting some indirect damage with the stasis ward, and Rogue just wasn't paying attention. He's got some Lings patrolling now to, you know, try to claw at that Oracle. Won't be quite tall enough, but they can try.
They can try. I believe there's that Babylon 5's saying. It's like all of humanity has already. What is the saying? It's like has already existed and will exist again. It's called eternal recurrence, I believe. I forget the phrase. All of this has happened before, and all of this will happen again. Yeah. So we get a chance to see many, many Stargate openings. Some of them, like the others, sometimes they just win the game. But what we don't get a chance to see all the time is Rogue going for this Roach all-in.
Hush saw it, though. I mean, he's making 3 cannons and an Immortal. So.
I don't know, Valdez. That is not enough to stop what's coming his way. I mean, he'll have these Adept Warp-ins, and that should at least push out the Zerglings early on, but there's a lot behind this. Oh,
even the Queens, they're marching across the map. This is 43 drones.
Yeah. So he did stop on drones very, very early on. The cannons will complete warping in, but I don't know, Valdez. There's just a lot coming in. Here we go. Finally, the Ravagers coming up. They will be able to knock down that static defense and even start to pop a few of these Immortal shields.
Yep, does get the one here. So far, good micro from Hush. Some Corrosive Biles are going to hit those cannons, who are doing a number. A couple of force fields coming down, but not the greatest. He's going to actually patch. Actually pretty good after looking at the damage that he could do afterwards.
All is said and done, 2 or 3 Ravagers fall, and even though there's more Zerglings and Roaches parading across the map here, I mean, this is a lot of pressure. The cannons have all gone down. That overcharged pylon is going to fall to Corrosive Biles eventually. Even that Mothership Core has to be careful, already down to maybe 1 more Bile away from death.
Pylon is going to go down. Those were 3 gateways that Hush was using. Going to add a couple more, and And you can see he's heavily supply blocked. He's making 6 pylons right now. Look at those minerals and gas that he's banking too. He just can't really use it because he's losing a bunch of these powered gateways.
Yeah, a lot of times killing gateways are like stalling. You need to get to the actual things you need to kill, like pylons powering everything, probes. But no, taking them out in this case is actually really limited what Hush can make to retaliate.
So I think both these players realize now that this isn't going to kill Hush, and they have both transitioned. But again, Rogue, he tried to make a bunch of stuff, brought all of his queens all the way across the map on Newkirk Precinct where he didn't have creep, so definitely not going to be as good a position as Hush, who now has a very sizable force. He's going to have Storm on the way. They just finished that Templar Archives.
Right, and as soon as Templar Archives finishes, it kind of becomes a different game for Protoss. One where, as long as you just hold on and wait, if you get 5, 6 High Templar with 2 Storms apiece, you can just walk forward. Zerg tries to get near you. They're almost like offensive force fields that kill this stuff instead of just blocking it off. You can just storm your way all the way into a Zerg base. And as soon as you're in the position, maybe on the high ground or behind a mineral line, that's just so difficult for these Zerg players to break. So really looking forward to seeing what Rogue's kind of follow-up is. His, I don't want to call it really an all-in, but his push, his rush is not effective. What comes next?
Look at that Oriole. You were talking about effective things, just going in and eating a bunch of damage and tagging something. Not the most effective, but
not the Oracle
these High Templar, yeah, these High Templar are going to be pretty gross. He's going to make some Archons as well, just to bolster that army. And Rogue, he's kind of just stuck on Lings and Roaches and Ravagers. He's making a bunch of Banelings now. Does have a lot of tech on the way. But again, once that Storm finishes, Hush is going to have an incredibly powerful army.
Yeah, interested to see the Spire. I don't know if we're really quite going to get there, Valdez. Because, I mean, this is really powering up here for Hush. He has been watching Tool Time and has decided that he does, in fact, just need more power. And he's got a lot of it. All those High Templar juicing up on Storms, and that's why I was kind of interested to see him morph those Archons quite so quickly. If you're not going to go for the fight, I feel like just having more High Templar with Storm is almost better. I mean, it's always nice to have those linebackers, but what are you guys doing up there? There's a Zealot drop in the natural, a big warp in the natural as well. The Adepts
10
from
Zealots.
Yep, these Adepts are going to shade in from up north, and here comes the main army pushing through the middle. Whoa! Wow!
We just went all the way up to the top right of the map for just a second there. That was kind of crazy. This is all going to get cleaned up. It doesn't look like Hush is confident enough to take the attack yet, even with 9 High Templars with Storm. So he's going to go back and turn around again. We'll see if he actually does attack any time in this game.
Dumped all those Zealots into a bunch of different places. And the Adepts shaded in. And simultaneously, all of the units are like, whoa, wait, we kind of did this out of sync. And then they all died, and Hush pulled back. So this is an interesting place to be in. For Hush, you know that your opponent tried to rush you, so you're like, all right, well, let me just put the pain back on him. Try to get this multi-pronged harassment on, and it just doesn't work out. Now, that being said, Hush does still have his giant Protoss Death Ball walking through the middle of the map, but needs to be careful not to overextend.
Well, he's definitely giving Rogue a lot of time to do stuff like this, trying to come in with, that should be +2 on those Banelings, one-shotting the probes there, getting a little bit of damage, but again, he's letting him get an Adrenal Glands, that Spire, some higher tech, and I don't know, I feel like the timing for Hush was about a minute ago, 2 minutes ago when he got that Storm, but he is still doing some decent damage with these Zealot drops, which is pretty nice.
Oh, but here comes the main engagement. Storm's melting every single Zergling. Look at that. You can just paint an outline around his army. How many Immortals is that? Thankfully, Brendan, we have the unit tab up. We can see that it is, in fact, 8
the hero
Immortals.
Unit tab.
I think Patience yesterday, or last week in his games against Sioux, had 13 Immortals. So we're almost quite at that number.
WW.
But that is just,
that's going to do it. Hush, he wins his first match here at the SSL Challenge.
All right, you know, we were kind of talking a little bit of trash early about his win rate. Well, the win rate doesn't matter when you just get to start a new tournament. It's a little bit like turning over a new leaf. He did that definitely here tonight.
Rogue looks really upset, actually.
Yeah, especially after last week's games losing to Beyond. Now he has a different matchup coming in this week, and it's against a player where you just look at Rogue's caliber, especially if you watch his GSL series, and he's just a good player. I remember reading the Team Liquid recap of last week's series, and they're like, well, Rogue is actually just, looking pretty good right now. I don't know, man. This SSL debuff may be what Rogue is experiencing. It's not looking too hot.
Yeah, so guys, we are going to take a quick commercial. Promise it'll be quick this time, and we'll see you back for the next match.